Welcome back, party people. We're chugging along. Like I said, we got content to put out before end of year, so appreciate y'all tuning in and checking it out. So let's talk cameras today, because that's what I do on this channel. But for those of you who are new, my name is Chris. I'm a freelance photographer and content creator. But for those of you who are returning, well, we have a special guest who's in the house today. He's always in the house. He actually lives here. We have Rainey on the channel. But for those of you who are coming back, thanks for tuning in again. So, camera talk. Let's do it. Controversial opinions today. When I say controversial, I mean maybe controversial in my own head, but I'm going to boot this cat because of the fact that he's just going to get hair all over me. There's a million different camera brands. When I say a million, there's maybe like 20. I shoot with two, Fuji and Sony. So let's talk about why I shoot with each and why I don't just stick to one system. Cool. So note to start on this, I'm actually shooting this on my Sony ZV-E1. It is an absolute beast of a video camera. I could not say enough good things about it. Same sensor as the FX3, which everybody knows from a cinema camera line. This is the vlogging line. So just wanted to point that out because I'm not going to show it in the video because it's recording the video. I guess that kind of leads me on the segue into my other Sony camera, which I've made more videos about recently and talked about it a lot. So this is my Sony A7C II paired with my Sony G24-250 lens. This is, I hope I don't sneeze on this call. That's the cat hair coming into the effect. But why do I use Sony? Because it's absolutely incredible. Sony cameras are phenomenal. The autofocus is just out of this world. The low light performance is just out of this world. And I absolutely love the Sony ecosystem and how expansive it is, especially with third-party lenses. But so why do I use Sony? And why do I also use Fuji? I'll get into the Fuji. So from a full frame perspective, I use Sony because of the fact that Fuji does not make full frame. They only make medium format. On top of that, even though Fuji's autofocus system is not as good as, or not as bad as so many people say it is, it's really not as bad. It's really not that bad, but it's nowhere on par with Sony. The Sony autofocus is just like absolutely incredible. That being said, I chose Sony over Canon or Nikon or Lumix because of the fact that I am not trying to get knocked over by my pets, but I just love the compact form factor. When I saw the A7C Mark II, actually just even the original one, I was on the fence back and forth on it for months and months and months and months and months. And of course, when I switched from Canon into Fuji, I didn't even look at full frame because I was looking for a more compact camera, which the crop sensor cameras really allow you to do just that. You get more compact cameras, they're phenomenal. But when I wanted to step back into full frame for more commercialized work like cars and just food, like you can't beat the full frame sensor unless you have medium format. But the depth of field on full frame is just incredible. Sony just being so fast and being so highly reviewed and just having such good feedback overall. Like it's what I went with. And ultimately, because they have the flexibility of a lot of third-party lenses, they make compact options like the ZV-E1 or the A7C II. It's what drew me in because of the fact that I've often found myself... You good over there, Sonny? It's getting close to food time in the house, so everybody's a little bit hyperactive, even though you probably can't hear them because of this lovely DJI mic. I pretty much, I just wanted the Sony ecosystem because there were so many good things about photo quality. It was just, so many people say they're very, very clinical and the autofocus is on another level, the low light performance. Video, which was something I really wanted to get into and now have gotten into, Sony was just the top tier for everything. And it's not that I didn't want to go with Canon, because I always loved Canon colors. I've debated picking up a Canon on a weekly basis at this point. And same thing with Lumix, because I feel like Lumix is really the underdog in the full frame space. I mean, Lumix does make a lot of Leica's parts, so like, think about that. But it was more so for the need. It was the use case of wanting a truly phenomenal, compact, hybrid camera that was full frame. It's led me to the two Sony cameras that I use now, the ZV-E1 and the A7C II. I love these cameras, but I'm gonna step back to one thing that I said previously that's a great thing, but it's also not my favorite thing. Sony's cameras are near clinically perfect, especially with the Sony lens. It's why I have the 24-50. Having a Sony lens is just, I mean, there are a lot of amazing third-party lenses that are definitely cheaper than Sony G Master lenses or G lenses, but they're so perfect. And not everybody, including myself, always wants a perfect photo, because it's almost that they're like too perfect and it's too sharp, and it makes it so hyper realistic that the photos sometimes seem like they don't have as much life to them. And I will also say that although I edit a lot of my photos in Lightroom, and you know, I've learned how to deal with it, the Sony color science is definitely not my favorite. There's always like a yellowish greenish tint to it, and for that I'm not a huge fan of that. And so I'm glad there's a lot of flexibility in the raw files, but it's not my favorite color science. So it's important to know how to edit when you have Sony cameras, because of the fact that if you feel like I do, and I'm very biased in saying that, the photos have, from a raw file standpoint, have so much flexibility, but if you're going for straight out of camera, Sony is not where I would lean at all. These are absolutely powerful machines, and sometimes they feel like just that, machines. They are so good at what they do. They're so good at what they're designed for, but it takes a little bit of life out of the cameras. So that's my transition to talk about Fujifilm. And for this example, I'm gonna pick up my favorite combo here, and this is my XE5, if I can get it to focus here, get my face out of there, with my Thypoc 35-1.4 Chimera? I'm not sure exactly how it's said. Fujifilm, and I have owned a lot of Fujifilm cameras at this point, literally everything other than the XS series and the X Pro series. And I do have my sights set on an X Pro 3, but we're gonna see if in the next year they come out with an X Pro 4. This is probably my favorite camera of all time. Everyone who says that Fuji colors are overhyped, you probably haven't used the Fujifilm enough. The images that come out of these cameras, and there's been a lot of different sensors, so I've gotten to try a lot of them, from, you know, the X-Trans 3 sensor to what's the 5 now. The photos are just lifelike, in the sense of they make everything look like a movie. It's like the combination of wanting to make photos look like film or make them look cinematic. You can do everything once you learn how to play with this camera. And I also say that's the benefit of Fuji cameras, is like, you don't also have to learn the entire setup of a Fuji camera to have fun with it. And it's why Fuji does make a lot of entry-level cameras. And they don't have as many pro features as the Sonys and the Canons. And it's just, you can pick up a Fuji camera, turn it on, and go shoot and create amazing images. And sometimes when I'm not doing work, that's exactly what I want. But to go on top of that, I've found myself being on the side of shooting with Fuji, where I use most of the time fully manual lenses, just like this Thypoc, because of the fact that it allows me to slow down, be in the moment, enjoy the process of shooting. And just get to know my camera, get to like carefully compose my shots, get to understand the color science, because Fuji's color science is just out of this world. I've heard that, you know, Leica is pretty comparable, and I know a lot of people who have been photographers for a very long time use Leicas, and unfortunately it's just not in my budget right now. I mean, it could be if I sold all my cameras, but then I would be left with one camera, and I don't want to do that. But the Fuji experience is just designed for anybody who wants to just go out and shoot, and that, I think, is the beauty of Fujifilm cameras. And I've definitely debated picking up a GFX for more studio type work, which I don't really do, so I haven't bought it. But just Fujifilm cameras, there's something about it, and it's just the build quality and the feel, especially of this XE5, which just feels like a tank. There's something about the manual dials and just the sound of the shutter that is just so perfect to me. And it's truly about the feeling that I get when shooting and the images that I get after shooting. And because there's this whole movement within the Fuji community that a lot of other brand users don't necessarily like, called straight out of camera, that's what you can do with this. I mean, granted, I shoot in both RAW and JPEG in case I want the flexibility, but with a Fuji camera, you can literally just shoot and get JPEGs, and they look incredible. So please, after this whole long rant, because I've tried to include some photos from both Fuji and Sony to kind of showcase what I'm talking about when it comes to the colors and the feels of each. And granted, all my Sony photos are going to be edited. I wouldn't just post raw photos because that kind of takes away from how I work. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you've switched from one to the other, or if you've switched from, you know, Sony to Canon, or Fuji to Canon, or to Lumix. Let me know what you think from a user standpoint as well as end images standpoint, if you enjoy either or something more and you've left, like maybe you've went to Nikon and you got the ZF. I've heard amazing things about that as well. Don't think I could get it. I picked it up literally yesterday, and I just like picked one up while at a store, and I didn't really like the feel of it in a weird way. And maybe it's just because I'm not a huge Nikon person. But drop your thoughts below. What camera do you absolutely love? What brand do you absolutely love? What have you had the best experience with? What have you had the worst experience with? I want to know, because I'm always open to try new things. That's pretty much a wrap for this one. So once again, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and stay tuned with the journey. Got a lot more stuff coming before end of year. And if you're returning, thanks for tuning back in. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.